On March 17, 2025, we learned that Herschend Family Entertainment would acquire all 20 American properties owned previously by Palace Entertainment, or Parks Reunidos as they're known overseas. This is bigger news than I think a lot of people realize because Herschend is one of the most acclaimed operators of theme parks in the United States. They're most well known for their theme parks in Tennessee and Missouri respectively, Dollywood and Silver Dollar City, which, if you've been to either, you'll know are some of the greatest theme parks in the world. From their impressive variety of rides and roller coasters, stupendous atmosphere and charm, amazing culinary opportunities, and robust live entertainment. These are destination parks that people from all around the world travel to experience. And it would seem that Herschend is trying to expand their portfolio not only to include more parks that could be transformed to this destination status, but also smaller family theme parks that act as day trips for local families. Let it be known that the timing of this acquisition isn't a coincidence. I believe there's two major factors that led to this decision. One, the Six Flags Cedar Fair merger, which took place last year and completely altered the landscape of theme parks in America. Previously, they were among the biggest park operators competing with other corporate giants like Disney, Universal, SeaWorld, and yes, Herschend. But after they came together and formed the largest park operator in the region, that left some other companies in the dust. Of course, Disney and Universal will never struggle due to the actions of other chains because they're so prominent in the amusement industry, but SeaWorld and Herschend very well could. And well, now we know what Herschend's answer is to all of this, and not to get off topic, but SeaWorld can't be too far behind making a big move themselves, so stay tuned to see if they acquire any parks next. But back on topic, the other reason that may have contributed to Herschend acquiring some of Palace Entertainment's parks is because they've been struggling as a collective at least for the past few years. It's possible you'll feel this when visiting one of Palace's parks, whether it be unmaintained attractions, pitiful operations, or a lack of investment in new rides. When you dig deeper, it gets even uglier. For example, in Parks Reunidos' Norway location, Tusenfryd was found not to be meeting legal safety standards last year. This is the kind of thing you'd never see happen to one of Herschend's parks, and on top of that, it allows Palace to really focus on their international properties. Just to reiterate, they're going to be going from an operator of 16 theme parks to now 9, whereas Herschend will nearly triple their count from 4 to 11. For those unfamiliar with the parks making the switch from Palace to Herschend, we've got Adventureland in Altoona, Iowa, Castle Park in Riverside, California, Dutch Wonderland in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Idlewild in Ligonier, Pennsylvania, Kennywood in West Mifflin, Pennsylvania, Lake Compounce in Bristol, Connecticut, and Storyland in Glen, New Hampshire. These parks will fit like a glove in Herschend's lineup because they all share something in common. Either they're themed or highly charming. I'm going to run through all of these parks in alphabetical order and talk about what this might mean for each in the coming years. First up is Adventureland, which, having visited before, is a really nice park that has the potential to be even better. Up until 2021, it was family owned and you could really feel that when you visited here. I haven't been since Palace Entertainment acquired them, so I'm unsure how that vibe was affected, but one thing's for sure, they definitely slowed down with the big investments. Adventureland was in the news a lot for coaster enthusiasts when they added the Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster Monster in 2016, followed by rock-solid supporting roller coasters in 2019 and 2021. Herschend, I believe, will pick the pace back up both in terms of new rides and general ambiance. Previously, Adventureland was a park with little to no theming too, so bringing in a more immersive experience could go a long way in improving the park. Next up we have Castle Park, which I think could be one of the parks that benefits most from this change in ownership. If you've never heard of them, I wouldn't blame you because they're currently only home to one roller coaster and it's nothing all that crazy. Before COVID, they actually had 3, including a rare Fabry Wild Mouse, which is a relatively large ride for a park catering to families. That said, I think they have the right audience to where they could afford something even more thrilling, especially since Palace Entertainment never got around to replacing either of the 2 recently defunct roller coasters in the park. This gives them a decent chunk of land to develop, not to mention Castle Park is a lot nicer than I expected, so I imagine that their atmosphere will work right into Herschend's catalog. Dutch Wonderland is a park I got to visit for the first time in 2023, and let's just say that if the Golden Ticket Awards thought it was the best family park then, they're in for a treat now that Herschend's in charge. From what I understand, they perform well for a small park, actually having received more investment than the average Palace park of this size. That said, I only see their investment increasing, and I hope we see this in the form of highly themed areas. While Dutch Wonderland is definitely stylized and well kept, I think some of that Herschend magic you see even in kids areas like Wildwood Grove at Dollywood could make this something truly special. Idlewild is the only new Herschend park I haven't visited, but I always seem to hear that the operations are abysmal. Like said, this can be the case at several Palace parks, but Idlewild was always one of the worst offenders. So that's the most positive change I think you'll see here is a dramatic shift in efficiency, even if that means removing some fan favorites and replacing them with newer attractions. Then you have Kennywood about an hour west, which is the largest theme park Herschend is acquiring from Palace Entertainment, and I think this will mean great things for them. Beyond the little things like operations and food, I'm fascinated by the cosmetic changes that could hit this park. I'm sure Herschend will want to maintain that old school feel possessed by Kennywood, but perhaps they theme the park to enhance that further. I also think their days of being neglected relative relative to other Pennsylvanian theme parks is over. For example, Steel Curtain was Kennywood's first new roller coaster in 9 years when it was added, and without mentioning how much of a disaster that's been, I also wouldn't expect a gap this big ever again. Another park I can't wait to see change at is Lake Compounce in Connecticut, which I have almost identical thoughts on as Kennywood. Herschend will almost certainly improve operations and things like that, but I'm also itching to know if this becomes a themed experience. I also think the gap in new major rides and roller coasters just shrunk here too, and hopefully it isn't long before we see something along those lines, as we're coming up on a decade since their last major coaster. Finally, Storyland is a park with this retro feel and ambiance that again I only see Herschend capitalizing on. I never visited here before Palace acquired them, but at a point in time they were family owned, and I hear the charm it once had has started to fade away. I also don't think Palace ever took advantage of the storybook theming enough, because you could go all in on creating an immersive dark ride or story-driven family coaster. We'll have to wait and see which parks are affected most by this news, but one thing's for sure, and that's that this is a very exciting development for those who live near any of these parks. I wish Herschend all of the success in their future as they work to improve their new umbrella of parks, as well as Parks Reunidos, so they can better care for those in the European market. But with that, I want to thank you all so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe to Coaster Dash for more content like this in the future. Also, let me know which of these parks you're most excited to see improvement at and what your hope is for its future. Until next time, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.